Welcome to K-Zone. Today, we will share about the recurrence of the Black Death, the plague, possible in the future modern world? Let's start. The Black Death, also known as the Bubonic Plague, is one of the most infamous pandemics in human history. It swept through Europe in the 14th century, causing widespread death and suffering. While modern medicine and hygiene practices have come a long way since then, the question remains, could the Black Death happen again? In this article, we will explore the factors that contributed to the Black Death and examine the current state of public health to assess the likelihood of such a devastating outbreak occurring in the future. Historical context. To understand the potential for another Black Death-like event, it's essential to delve into the historical context of the 14th century pandemic. Origin: the Black Death is believed to have originated in Asia, possibly in China or the Himalayan region. It then spread through trade routes to Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Bubonic plague: the disease was primarily caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, transmitted to humans through fleas that infested rats. There were three forms of the disease: bubonic, septicemic, and pneumonic, with the bubonic form being the most common. High mortality: the Black Death is estimated to have killed 25 million people in Europe alone, wiping out a significant portion of the population. In some regions, mortality rates reached as high as 50%. Lack of medical knowledge: in the 14th century, medical knowledge and understanding of diseases were limited. There were no antibiotics or effective treatments available, and hygiene practices were rudimentary. Factors contributing to the Black Death. Several factors contributed to the rapid spread and devastating impact of the Black Death. Urbanization: the growth of cities in the 14th century led to overcrowding and unsanitary conditions, making it easier for the disease to spread. Lack of sanitation: poor sanitation practices, including the disposal of waste in the streets, created breeding grounds for rats and fleas. Limited medical knowledge: the lack of understanding about the cause and transmission of the disease hindered efforts to contain it. Trade and travel: increased trade and travel between regions facilitated the spread of the disease along trade routes. Modern advancements. In contrast to the 14th century, the modern world has made significant advancements in medicine, hygiene, and disease control. Antibiotics: antibiotics like penicillin are effective against Yersinia pestis, the bacterium responsible for the bubonic plague. Vaccination: there are vaccines available for some types of plague, offering protection to those at risk. Disease surveillance: advanced systems for monitoring and tracking diseases allow for rapid response and containment. Hygiene practices: improved sanitation and hygiene standards in both urban and rural areas reduce the likelihood of disease transmission. Public health infrastructure: many countries have established robust public health systems that can respond quickly to potential outbreaks. Current risk factors. While modern advancements have significantly reduced the risk of a Black Death-like pandemic, some factors still pose potential threats. Antibiotic resistance: the emergence of antibiotic-resistant strains of bacteria is a concern. If Yersinia pestis were to become resistant to antibiotics, it could complicate treatment efforts. Global travel: the ease of global travel means that a contagious disease can spread quickly across borders. Zoonotic transmission: plague bacteria can exist in wildlife populations, and zoonotic transmission, from animals to humans, remains a possibility. Climate change. Changes in climate patterns can impact the distribution of disease-carrying vectors, potentially affecting the spread of the plague. Preparedness and prevention. To prevent a Black Death-like scenario, global preparedness and prevention efforts are crucial. Surveillance and early detection. Timely detection of outbreaks is essential to prevent their spread. Improved surveillance systems are necessary. Antibiotic stewardship. Responsible use of antibiotics can help delay the development of antibiotic-resistant strains. Vaccination programs. Maintaining and expanding vaccination programs for plague-prone regions can provide a level of protection. Public health education. Educating the public about the signs, symptoms, and prevention of the plague can reduce the risk of transmission. Climate adaptation. Monitoring and adapting to changing climate conditions can help mitigate the impact of vector-borne diseases. While the likelihood of another Black Death-like pandemic occurring in the modern world is low, it is not entirely impossible. Advances in medicine, hygiene, and disease control have significantly reduced the risk, but vigilance and preparedness remain critical. By learning from history and addressing current risk factors, we can continue to minimize the threat of devastating pandemics and ensure the health and well-being of future generations. Thanks for watching. Don't forget like, share and subscribe.